One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. Tell me what it takes for a man to make his way in this life. I was always true to my family, my kids, my wife. Close to coming down, let go in another state, and I didn't fit in with their plans. But they say I deserve a better fate. All the jobs I'm in, where's the bank always just said there was nothing they could do there to come take my house away. Oh, these things I don't understand. Oh, no life for an honest man. I can't even look at my wife, not the man that she married long ago. Shelter had to take us in, got no money left and nowhere else to go. Tonight I hear my cats cry out loud, cause they ain't like all the rest. Never made no fairy tale, but I can't believe this is one of God's tests. I remember when my daddy died, they said it's a hard road to follow. Yeah, to strip away dignity, that's too much for a man to swallow. Oh, these things I don't understand. Oh, no life for an honest man. My dad told me not to worry, said that nothing really is as bad as it seems. I don't feel much of nothing no more. I'm just a man on a dead end street of broken dreams. What kind of world is this? Nothing matters but greed and a dollar sign. I know it ain't no fairy tale. I can't believe that life is so kind. I only want what I earn. I don't ask too much tonight. The only thing that I need is to take care of my kids and my wife. Oh, these things I don't understand. Oh, no life for an honest man. All right. That's it right here. All right. The Rolling Stone is it? Hey guys, welcome to Hanging with Hastings, another episode. Today I'm here at the house of my good buddy Shane Davis, and we are going to talk about a lot of things, share some memories, and play a few songs, and talk about what Shane's up to these days. That song right there was from 1991, originally a song called Honest Man that we recorded, if you remember, on the night that Freddie Mercury died. And I bet you don't even remember that.
No.
We were out in...
What? So when did he die?
we were out in...
I saw a movie.
Yeah. It was good. I can't think of the name of it. Some song. We were out in Olcott, right? And we were recording, and we recorded that song, and as we were driving back, it came on the radio that he died, and we stopped at a place called Joe's Budapest that had nothing, a jukebox that had actual 45s in it. And we just put all of our quarters in and whatever Queen song was in the jukebox and drank to Freddie that night. So there's a little trivia you don't even remember.
I was doing sound recently.
All right.
And I was out there.
Okay.
And there was a practice place we used to go to out in Angola. Wherever that Angola ways. Okay.
Right.
So, and the reason I say Honest Man is there's a bunch of songs in there we did with this group out there.
Right.
And I was doing sound and I'm looking around and I go, this is where, well, it's not here anymore, but this is where a lot of those songs were born, and I know we'll be doing something.
Right, I do remember that practice room. It was like a loft,
Yeah.
and that we would go to, and that was in the early '90s. And actually, a song we're going to finish with tonight also comes from that period of time too, where we did. I released it as we recorded two sessions, one with Clayton and Pat from that had Honest Man and Madonna. Those songs, and then I combined it with the session where we did Sally Johnson and stuff where Brian played drums, and I think Pat was still on guitar, and Mike DiStefano, and Mike. Well, you said Shane said he just ran into Mike DiStefano, another guy. We were looking for a guitar player. Now this is the funny thing. I got to tell him this story. All right, now and also. Honest Man was when the band officially became Hastings, which Shane said, screw it, we had been Southern Comfort, Nightwing, The Quest, Downtown Rebels and everything. Shane said, screw it, we'll just be Hastings. What's a Hastings?
Because you get tired of making up names.
Yeah, right around that period, I got a call, my brother lived in California, and we got a call to play a festival out there. And we were looking for a guitar player, and we auditioned all these guys, and because we had played with Tony Safari. What was Tony's real name? Matuzak. And he had left the band, and so we were looking for a guitar player, and we had auditioned this kid Mike DiStefano, who I thought was really, really good, and the other guys were like, I don't know, you guys like this Jerry, and Jerry was really good too. And he was a character. So they vetoed me. They said, all right, we're going to go with Jerry on this one. So we went with Jerry, and Jerry came out to California with
made for some stories, though.
And he was quite the character. I can't repeat these or else I will be in a lot of trouble on YouTube. But we tore up a hotel room with Jerry, and Jerry was quite the character. But we had decided to take the band into an all-original direction, and Jerry didn't want to do that. So we booked recording time at this place in Alcott, and we had rhythm guitars, we had Shane, and we had a drummer and me, but we didn't have the lead guitarist. So we were sitting there, what are we going to do? We have to record tomorrow. And we went into the Dome Stadium and to have a drink, and who's playing there but Mike DiStefano. And I remember he was doing Rosalita. And at the time, I'm like, oh my God, that's the guy that I wanted right there. So we went up to him, and he's in that band and everything. And could you please come out and put some lead on some of our songs? And he agreed to do it. And then he stayed with us for like a year and stuff. And a really cool guy, really nice guy that we just kind of ran into this past year again. In fact, Mike, when I saw him, the first thing he said to me, Tom, you're still alive. All right.
That's a good.
So, yes, Mike, I'm still alive. Still. Barely, but I'm still alive. But I want to talk about stuff that Shane's doing right now. And first thing I want to talk about is, you already mentioned it, your sound work that you're doing. Tell us a little bit about that and what you're doing.
Yeah, so over the years when we've had bands, we've always had to do our own sound, and somebody in the band or all of us pitched in, and it's you learn a bit about it. And over the years, I've had to do it more and more, and there's been a lot of friends that need sound system,
right.
Sound production, etc. I'm not out there promoting everywhere and everywhere you use your sound guy, but if you need a backup, and I do it for friends, like we were talking about, even with this, how you're learning to do more with this stuff, and it energizes you. Same thing with this, is I'm learning the new technologies, I work with people that I enjoy at all, from all walks of life. And seeing what they're doing in it, it keeps you in tune with music in the area, as well as you want to do a good job for them. There's almost more stress to do sound for
sound
somebody
than to play.
than to go out and just play. Because if I make a mistake, I could just move down a fret
Right,
or
well,
change a dot.
A musician's stress is the practicing to get ready. Once the show comes, now it's just time to have
Just
fun.
go, man.
You are much better than I am as far as getting out, because I play a lot and I don't get to see a lot of people all the time. Where you're out there and you mingle. You're good at the mingling.
Yeah, one of the things I always, going all the way back, is always getting out to see what folks are doing and supporting them. The local music always has its challenges, but I love seeing what people are doing, and I'm a fan.
Right.
As much as a music, probably more than a musician.
We've been that way
you
since
know.
we were kids.
Yeah.
We're fans.
Yeah, I'm a fan, and I tell people that I'm more of a fan. Folks will ask us to come up when we're out there, and honestly, I come out to see you, and I don't mean it as a
I do
bad
the same thing.
but I'm a fan of what you're doing and what people are doing.
People, you almost come across, and you try not to, but you almost come across as being uppity or whatever, because people, it's the same thing. If we do go out when we have a night off and we see somebody, it's like, all right, I'm playing all these days. I want to see you play. And they're like, come on up and sing. And I know they're trying to be nice.
Oh, it's wonderful.
But it's like, no, I want to hear you. And it's not an uppity thing. It's like, it's just, I just want to hear you guys.
I love being a fan. I love
Yeah.
looking at the stage and watching
Me
people
too.
do, and they're working hard and they're entertaining, and I love that. I love that part.
Buffalo has long had a great history of music, underrated history of music, where there's so many great musicians. And it makes it hard, as we were talking before we went on, about places closing up and, there being less and less options of places to play if you're a bar band. And there's so many bands. There seems to me, I don't remember there being as many bands when we were younger as there are now. Now it seems like there's 1,000 bands, and they're all struggling to try to get into the same places. Father's Day, there's a guy, Dan Gambino, he's pretty much retired from music, but he's going to be playing at Old Man Rivers on Father's Day, and it's kind of a reunion with his band. And we're off that day, and I told Diane, I'm like, let's go there and watch him play, because I've interviewed him before. He's one of those old guys. He went to Woodstock and stuff. He's got a lot of great stuff. I like getting some of the old timer, and I'm 60, and I'm talking about the old timers. It's great to hear those old stories and stuff, for me at least. I love hearing that. And I'd like to actually interview Dan again. I interviewed him once, and I'd like to do it again sometime. I think we grew up in a lucky age. I think it was a good period where we came off the 70s, which in my opinion was like the greatest. The 50s started rock and roll out, 60s improved it, and then the 70s to me just kind of like, that was it. Like, that was the, where you had your great bands and the greatest songs, I think.
Tons of harmonies, tons of all kinds of.
Think of the 70s from not just Elton, but you got your Bad Company, Kiss, Queen, Steve Miller, just on and on and on. There's some Eagles, so many amazing bands that came out.
And of course, the king of rock and roll, the god of rock and roll, Gene Simmons. Yes.
Yeah, I was so mad.
You might have to cut that out due to some infringement on Gene's money or
Oh
something.
yeah, now I know Gene Simmons. $10,000. Thanks, Shane. Jeez, you might as well just spit blood.
Whatever.
No, but I was so mad. I wanted to go to the last concert, because we try to go to New York once or twice a year to get away for a couple days, and they were, I think it was December 2nd or something of last year. They were playing their last show, and I wanted to go so bad. And then my wife,
Gotta work.
we gotta work. It's Christmas time. It's a busy time of year.
Would you go get a premium?
Get your butt in behind the piano and play. All right. So,
Yes.
so I missed it. But no, that was, well, again, anybody out there wants to get their sound, needs help with sound, Shane is available. When he's available, he'll be your man. I run our sound too. I understand like the challenges. Where we played yesterday was one of those barns
like we were a real high ceiling, and I had like turned off almost all of our effects like on the mic because it was already all the room echo and stuff, you know, and so when you talked about the challenges of doing live, you know, doing sound, it is try to do that and play at the same time.
You know,
it's tough.
There's so much working against you. You know.
Yeah.
I was doing it the other night. First set's great. All of a sudden, the second set, all the power goes.
Oh.
And they turn the outside lights on. You're like, oh my goodness. So, but it's a challenge. So that in 6 months, I'll probably be done with the challenge and say I've had enough and say, all right, let's do a different band.
All right.
You know.
No, that's that Shane. Shane's the chameleon, right? Well, let's do a song here from this one. Now, I wrote this in 1985. Originally, when I moved to California, and I wanted to talk real quick too, before we go into the song. In '85, before I went to California, when Mike left the band, we had another member join, Bob Hall, who was a great guitar player, and who we recently lost Bob as well, and a great talent around Western New York. And there's always a part of me to this day, because I had a really rough time in California. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And we had a pretty tight sounding band there with Bob. And I remember Brian and Bob like yelling and Brian crying, "What are you going to California for?" and stuff like that, you know. And part of me always wondered how we would have done if I wouldn't have, you know, taken that year. You know, but it's all those things that you got to do, which you don't know at the time that it's going to be, you know, crappy experience. So, but Bob is a great guy. And while I was out in California, I wrote this song, and it was kind of loosely inspired by, if you remember, the band Triumph. Their album Just a Game was one of my favorite albums when I was a freshman in high school. And that was an album that had like Hold On, had Just a Game was a great song, and American Girls. But in between the hits, there was a song called Young Enough to Cry. And it was a good, cool, bluesy song. And I always liked the style of it. So when I wrote this one, I was thinking of that song. You know, that was my main inspiration for it. And we'll try this out. We haven't done this in a long time, so hopefully it'll come out. But it's a song called What's Going On.
Just call it jazz.
It's good. It's like jazz. 97. All right, you ready?
You go ahead and walk it in and.
Hey, little girl, heard you're on your own. Your big love man left you on your own. Thought you had everything sewn up in your life. Marry a rich man, rich man's wife. Now you wonder what's going on. Wonder what's going on. Wonder what's going on in your life. Your life. In your life. Guess he's just dance for everything, yeah. Somehow just can't help but feeling bad. You had it all in your hand, you had everything there. But baby, tell me now that nobody cares, do you wonder what's going on? Do you wonder what's going on? Do you wonder what's going on in your life? In your life.
Oliver. Come on, get it. Here you go.
All right, here we go.
I'll give it to
All right,
you.
I got it.
This is your show. Yeah. Was that the theme of Fat Albert?
I don't know, it might have been.
I've got something to sing to you.
You know, you say that, and I see a lot of these guys, they'll like throw these commercials and theme songs in, and I went to try to learn about a handful of those ones. They're played by the best players, best studio guys ever, and I'm like, I cannot do this justice. So when I see a bass player do like one of these, Barney, whatever they are, I'm impressed.
I know. You know what? Reading his autobiography, when Springsteen got signed to Columbia, he made it like a little demo tape with John Hammond, and that same day they needed a harmonica player for Beech Nut sugar-free gum commercial. So his first actual recording was playing harmonica for Beech Nut sugar-free gum.
I consider myself just an average. I play from the heart, just learn along the way like we did. And you do the best you can. But when you get into learning some of that type of material, it's a whole other world, man.
It is. Well, we had when you talk about musicians, wasn't he the drummer from Buffalo? Gary something in the '70s. Like he played with Steve Miller. I think he played with the Maniacs. I can't think of his last name. Malabar or something like that. He actually started. You know what I'm talking about? I think he started out with the Stan and the Ravens, even back like in the old days. And there are some really great musicians from Buffalo that do nothing but that stuff.
I got a guy next door, Bobby Falk. One of the best guitar players around.
Yeah, and his old partner, Dan Sterner, is a guy that used to break my heart that I'd seen him playing in bars that I knew that they weren't getting compensated what they should be getting. Because I would go into these places just like you said as a fan, and they would play a lot of times at like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday somewhere, and I'd go in there and just sit down with a beer and be like just watching Danny on the piano and watching Bobby play the guitar, and they're just underrated. They are two of the greatest musicians in Buffalo.
Wonderful people.
I used to live across the street from Teddy Reinhardt too, another great drummer, and that. So, geez, there's just so much great talent in this area. We can say that over and over and over again. Remember going to Tallis, and I got thrown up on there. And Mike Conley was proud because I threw up on your cousin's first time his parents let him take the car out, and I threw up on the gear shift at Tallis. What was it, Summerfest? It's some drive. I think it was Transit Drive-In or something. And then Mike Conley was like, I puked outside the car.
I'm proud.
And people were just throwing beer on me. I was like laying there. All I can remember is Billy Sheehan's being so drunk and after throwing up and just hearing Billy Sheehan doing his.
No, we're not going to try to imitate.
No.
I loaned my friend of mine, mutual friend, when Billy would come into town for the Christmas event, he has to play a certain brand of equipment. So I happened to have it and loaned it out. And he goes, "You want it signed, by Billy?" And I'm like, it doesn't matter. I figured when I got it back,
you could say Billy played.
I could say that, but also maybe some of that would rub off.
Oh.
And that would be worth more than any signature.
Oh boy!
But still hasn't
Billy
rubbed
Magic,
off. No, the magic
Couple
isn't happening.
years.
He's kept it to himself.
You do pretty good for yourself, man. You do all right. Now that's what we'll segue into that. All the projects that Shane's been involved with over the years. You started out. You were in Ozone Rangers. You played with Hot Daddy Rocks, of course, Nerds. Right now you're in a country band. You've changed things up.
Blood Money, and
Money.
What's neat about that is it's got a little bit of country with our own twist. Because I'm not a country in the blood. I mean, when I was with Ozone Rangers, the sound man, he'd say country music's the upbeat, and when we do a country song, I look at him. I'm trying to do an upbeat, and I'm not doing any upbeat to save my life. But it's a little twist, a little classic, and they're wonderful people. So I guess.
Oh, and I have to put this plug in for him right now because I thought you were in it, but it's going to be the duo. Last
Oh, yeah.
this past Sunday, my wife and I played at
Chris and Bethy.
my wife and I played out at Copperhead in Batavia for their first Sunday Fun Day, and in a couple weeks, Blood Money Duo will be out there in Copperhead. So when I was talking to the owner of Copperhead, he said, "Hey, make sure." I said, "Hey, I know the bass player. I'm friends with him, and I'll be talking to him this week for our YouTube show." And he goes, "Make sure you mention Copperhead."
Well, there you go.
So there you go. Copperhead and Blood Money in a couple weeks.
So that commercial will cost.
So, well, I don't drink when I play, so I don't know what I can get. What can I extort from them?
So, the projects, we've got that, and I have another group that we do a couple of shows at Hit List, which is a blend of some big groups
Oh,
here.
that's right.
And then another project coming out in the fall, actually, I can't talk about. It's more of a touring, but 12 to 15 shows here. But I guess at the root of all this is, I think about our youth. We played with really wonderful people, and the relationships are always challenging over the years. But you at the core, they're really good people.
Right.
And you get in a group that really takes off, and now some of your protection has to go up, and this and that. It becomes a little different world. When I was in one of those for a while, and when I got out of that, I was like, I need to get back to just playing music like I did,
Like you like it.
and get out, because we aren't 25 or 30 anymore, and try to play. There's an opportunity to play with some other folks that I wouldn't normally. I want to do it, so that's been more of the
Right. I understand it like 100% because like what I do. Well, we're gonna today, if the rain doesn't hold out, we're supposed to start at the Music on Main, and we're gonna be there like every week. So I told the people that we were gonna do a different show every week. So the challenge on me, like this week we're gonna do just our kind of a regular show that we would do anywhere at a bar. And then next week we're going to do like a 70s show. Then we're going to do songs related to more of the 80s. And I'm going to do the Elton John show. And then we have to figure out other themes. And I like that because, like what you're talking about, to give yourself that challenge. Whereas when you're in a regular band and it's the thing, and you tend to find yourself playing the same songs, the same set list over and over again, and you feel like a robot. And I like the freedom of being able to do all these different things. And sometimes it's even confusing to some of the people that come out to see you because they're used to, hey, why aren't you doing this? And why are you dressed up like Elton John tonight? Why aren't you doing Boot Scoop Boogie or something like that, And I'm like, well, this is a different event. And I like challenging it. And I think that's kind of like what you're saying is to get that challenge. But Mike and I, when we were talking, and Randy, we already told the story of how we had 4 guitar players, and then we drew straws and you lost.
low man on the totem pole.
But
I knew what I did know is this finger was bass.
Yeah.
So at least I know where to start the whole thing.
I remember at your mom's Prospect, the old house on Prospect, one of her friends, or it was maybe Hank's friend, somebody played bass. And I can remember when you first had to learn how to play bass, they taught you like the Johnny B. Good riff. And I can still see you doing it. And then like for like a year, every song we wrote had
You got to have it. Hey, on this sort of subject, I was thinking of, as you mentioned doing this and really excited about doing this, I was thinking about some of the writing and some of the influences that come in. So, like No Sugar Tonight was, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we had a song, he wrote a song called Little Rock and Roller.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And I wanted a bass intro. And I didn't.
You got a great bass riff.
Right, but. Right?
Oh, I
So,
thought
so I heard, No Sugar Tonight. Maybe I should be saying all that, but
but that's all music.
The influence, right?
That's
the
all music,
influence,
right?
And using those influences maybe to help you in your world, and that was one
Right.
of the. And here's
Right, that's
Right?
White Wedding and then Madonna. Right.
so, just influences there to help things along.
But there isn't such a thing as an original
Right.
song anymore. Like all the chords they've been written, and it's just a new story that you're telling with those chords. There's guys I listen to now The guys that I like the most, new music buys or whatever, are guys that sound like guys that I listened to back when I was younger, like guys like Nathaniel Rateliff, who has the soul and the spirit of somebody from the 70s or 60s, and like Avid Brothers or like a folky kind of band with great lyrics. Kind of remind me a little bit of the Eagles and Jackson Brown and that type of music. So there's nothing really original. You listen to Tom Petty and you can go back to he was the Byrds,
Right.
and Bob Dylan and stuff like that. So everybody's music is influenced by the one generation. But what we were lucky in, I think, is that we had those, like I said, the 50s, the 60s, and 70s to bring us. And unfortunately, our generation, when we came to the 80s, to me, is when I think some music started losing the soul of it, where it became like a lot of synthesizers and corporate stuff that started taking over.
More look and all that.
Then substance and
Cooker
stuff.
cutter, yeah.
Right, and then the hair metal. One of the worst things that Brian talked me into doing is when we had to wear the spandex. And we got like 2 years of pictures of spandex.
But hey,
because
this is
everybody was doing it.
great Bob Hall story is he did teach us how to properly
How to pose.
Yep, pose, and then
The pout.
take strips of your T-shirt and put lipstick on it, put kisses on it, so that it would look, and then you'd have the lipstick kiss on your bandana. So there, he knew how to
He
do
did
that
know,
stuff. He knew how to look good.
You told me, we're going to have to wrap up soon, but you told me about, you got a guitar with Brian?
Yeah, so and we've had a lot of wonderful folks that we've known over the years, and in my office area, I have some of the wonderful recognitions, but I've also put some areas where, one, I have a Brian's tribute with all the bands that we played in, our Hastings CDs and some nice covers, and then I picked up a guitar, one of his guitars from the estate, and that's up there to always be there, and I get to look around. And my first real bass too, the same thing. My first real bass that I bought. These guys were kind enough to hand me down stuff and whatever in the early days, but that's also hanging. So there's periods of time, Ozone, Hot Daddy, and I've got a wall that for our world, and that really is nice to be able to sit up there and look around every so often and get you
That
grounded.
is awesome. That keeps you grounded and keeps you realizing what a great life we lived. And another thing I said to Mike is that our time together and our early time, I'm really proud that most of us were all still playing.
Yeah.
We started in 1981 really, and again I tell the story like how we were drinking and stuff. I said, well, back then you were 18, you could legally drink, but that doesn't count for Shane and Mike being 15.
Oh, there's a.
Yeah, we were rascals.
Million stories, but there was a bar we played at back then. And
McVan's
it would have been the Stop Inn in Lackawanna.
Oh,
and
the Indian place.
Yeah, and there was plenty of stories there, but the owner at the time and Randy weren't really seeing eye to eye.
Oh, he was going to rip us off if it's the story
Yeah.
I'm thinking of.
So what happens is I end up going back to talk to the owner, and the owner's like, let me buy you a drink. Meanwhile, I'm 16, 17, I'm thinking, we're getting paid.
Well, we had our parents a lot of times had to come with us.
But all I thought about is, at the end of the day, whether we play here again, we're getting paid. 'Cause
Yeah.
he just bought me, Mr. 16, 17-year-old,
A drink. Yeah. Well, I remember Randy taking, it was one of the coolest, almost like out of a movie. And it might be this place or it might have been another place. But the guy was going to cheat us out of money. And so Randy he had all these glasses set up. And Randy just picked up a glass and he just goes, well, I'm going to get $400 out of you one way or another. And he just started breaking glasses. And then all of a sudden, we're loading stuff in and I hear this fight breaking out in the back. I'm like, what is it? No, we had so many stories at the bars. I remember you getting ripped off. I think it was what was that bar on South Park Skyway?
Skyroom. Yeah.
Skyroom, where it had the elevator and we were loading. Somebody stole your bass.
That's the one upstairs. So
Oh, you got it?
Yeah,
You
what
got
had
it back?
happened was I think I had it a week or something.
Yeah.
And I set it down for 30 seconds.
Oh, you were crying, I
and it
remember.
was gone. And we said we're not leaving till, and they kicked down the door and it was sitting there. But
That's right,
It's
that's
upstairs, it's still with us.
That's right,
Well,
that's
you
right.
know, you,
Yeah, it was an inside job.
yeah, well, we've had, playing all these places, the beauty of what we do, and we'll get a little soft here for a moment.
Uh-oh.
The most important shows are, to me, are when we're able to give back, and we're able to help somebody. Our
Yeah.
regular shows help you forget about maybe things for a few hours or whatever it is, but when you get somebody who's really in a crisis and needs help, and you're able to go in and use your talent, it's an honor to be able to do that and help
Right.
them through a moment in their world, and that's what music.
Music
for
is the
me,
most important
forever,
thing.
Never, never. So.
I shared a story with someone last night. They were talking about it. When my mother, God bless her, passed away, she was in her 90s and she had dementia. And she was the one that kind of handed down the music to me. I can still I can still picture her dancing in the living room and singing her Patsy Cline songs and her, all the songs she liked. And she really taught me how to love music. And, she introduced music to me. And at 92 years old, she didn't remember who I was anymore. And my sister was watching her in Ohio, but my sister and my brother-in-law came into a Bills game. And they said, "Can you watch Mom for 5 hours while we're at the game?" And I said, "Sure." And my mom walks in, and she looks at me, and she goes, "Do I know you?" I said, "I'm your son." She goes, "You are?" And I'm like, "What am I going to do? What am I going to do?" She doesn't know who I am. So I went over to the piano, and all I could think of is playing all these songs that she loved, like I was doing, like "He'll Have to Go," and like all those old, like songs that we'll do in some of the senior homes and memory centers. And we've seen it in the memory centers that we play too. All of a sudden, my mom, who came in on a walker, got up off the couch on her own, and my wife actually filmed this too. It was a great gift to me. Walked over to the piano and kneeled on it and started singing with me, and then was like calling me Tommy, going, "Tommy, oh, I love this song," and knew the words to every song. And for those few hours while I was singing with her, that's what we did the whole time. The power of music brought her back for a few hours. So when you talk about that, I also remember one time when you lived in Ohio, I was coming back, we were doing some showing, like we played something in Ohio, and then we had to come right into someone had died in Franklville and do something like that.
Yeah,
and we were always, I think, pretty good at.
Yeah, because it's important.
It is important.
You can get caught up in your own little world, and I guess that's one of the where I hold my ground is you can be as big a group as you want, take all receive all this money, but if you don't forget where you came from,
What
and the
brought
things
you to that
do,
point.
and the power of how you can help. When you don't give back like you should, that's where I get a little.
No. That's what it's all about.
We did. That was.
You got to remember why you loved music in the first place, and it's something that's what I've said. And the reason why I wanted to talk with you and Randy and Mike first in the series, and I also put on our page interview I did with Brian like 6 months before he died. So I wanted to cover the original guys first before I go on. Next week I'm going to interview a local author who wrote a book of poetry, and I'll be filming that on Monday for the next Hanging with Hastings episode. But I wanted to, before I interviewed anyone else, I wanted to talk to my original boys because I'm very proud of all of you. We've had times where we disagreed and we didn't talk, but that initial bond has been strong enough that here we are 44 years later. And I think still we all love each other, and we're all a family and a group, and that'll always be there. And it's very important. And I wanted to, we don't have a date on this yet, but I talked to Shane about it. I talked to Mike, and I was talking to Randy. We're going to do sometime in the future, hopefully before the end of summer, we're going to go live on YouTube and do like a little 2-hour acoustic unplugged show in tribute to Brian and in tribute to Jason and to Bob and to those that we've lost that have shared the stage with us over the years. As you said, it's so important
We had
to remember
another
that.
bass player too.
Tim Sikora.
Yeah,
Tim
yeah,
Sikora
yeah,
passed away.
Yeah.
And that was another sad thing. He was so young too. So
We're
yeah.
lucky to be here in a lot of ways, this for sure. Right?
What's that?
We're lucky to be.
We are. We are lucky to. Oh man, I'm so thankful for everything that we got and everything we're able to do. So we're gonna finish off with a song again from that 1991-92 period that we wrote, and Shane co-wrote this one with me. And this is a song got the inspiration was we were going to gentleman clubs occasionally. See, we went from all that sweet romantic stuff, nice stuff, to talking about going to the gentleman clubs. And me being like the poet guy or the sensitive heart, I guess, of it, I would look at the stripper and think, this can't be what she wanted to do, right? This couldn't have been when she was 12 years old. Like, you know what I want to do? My future involves pole. You know, and so I started wondering, and I also noticed that like when you looked at them, they would never look you in the eye, and I always felt like it would be like they're here, they're giving their body and stuff like that, but if they look at you in the eye, then you're taking their soul. So I thought about that, and Shane came up with some music here, and then I wrote these words, and it's about a girl who longed to be a dancer on Broadway, and it's also about the guy who was in love with her, who followed her not only through Broadway, but was there when she was in those dingy clubs. The song called Sally Johnson. So here we go. I dated Sally Johnson. We were still in school. Loved to drive me crazy. She left it all. She had a grace and beauty, and Lord, she loved to dance. Told me she'd break out of this town and give it one good chance. She was flying high, giving it all she's got. She was flying high, and man, that girl was high. She was flying high.
face that showed the signs. She showed up for auditions, but she got left behind. I saw her once in this topless club somewhere way out west, giving her all to the smoky beat, never looking at the gas. But when the lights went up and the music played, she floated on the stage. She had the grace and beauty of a woman half her age. She was flying high, just giving it all she's got. She was flying high, and man, that girl is hot, flying high. She was flying high. All right, thank you, Shane, for doing this with me. Thanks for watching Hang with Hastings. Again, we'll be back next week with another episode. Hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe to our Hastings Duo page on YouTube. Follow us for the shows. We'll have a lot of cool stuff. Shane, any last thing? Anything you want to say? Show?
Glad I could be here.
I'm glad you could
Thanks,
be here
Peter.
too, brother.
Oh yeah, this is where I live.
Thank
Glad
you.
you could be here.
Thank you. That's right. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching, and we hope you have a great day. We'll see you next time.